What's up, YouTube? Welcome to another video. Today's December 19th, 2023, and today I'm going to discuss a question I recently got from a subscriber. Why doesn't Canada own any gold? First off, if you like these videos, please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, check out my website, My Road to Wealth and Freedom. I'm always publishing stuff about building passive income and precious metals, that type of thing, investing in general. Also, quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, so please do your own research, consult a financial advisor before making any investment decision like buying gold or silver or following any of the strategies I discuss on this YouTube channel. It's just for entertainment purposes only. All right, so first off, we are just before Christmas. Gold is at 2054, silver 2438. They had a big bounce on the back of the Fed pause, what's being called now the Powell pivot, kind of that whole thing. And then it sold off on a Sunday night. I think it hit about 2150, 2170, something like that. It sold off all the way back down to like 1990. Now it's back up to 2054. So gold's hanging in there. It's kind of all over the place. Again, everything, the investing landscape, the economic landscape, it's all very geopolitical landscape. It's all very, very uncertain right now as we're going into 24. So, yeah, anyway, that's kind of where we're at. I'm still kind of doing my same old thing, slowly and surely building long-term wealth, preserving wealth with gold and silver. The miners have kind of picked up a little bit, especially Newmont, which was basically in the garbage bin for a while. I'm glad to see it's kind of back up. In fact, I'm getting a dividend from them, I think on Friday or something like that. So that'll be kind of a nice little Christmas present, and the share price appreciation, of course, is also good. But anyway, I've been actually focusing a lot more on buying some beaten up dividend paying stocks lately to just kind of increase that passive income and keep that investing cash flow kind of moving. But anyways, on to why doesn't Canada own any gold? First off, I wasn't really sure about this either, because Canada does have quite a long history of gold. In fact, we had the Klondike Gold Rush in the 1880s. Of course, that led to the creation of the Northwest Mounted Police, the RCMP, that type of thing. And yeah, there's just kind of like a lot of iconic sort of cultural themes that came out of the Yukon Gold Rush. But anyway, for whatever reason, Canada does not own any gold officially. Like the central bank does not own any gold in its like foreign exchange reserves, which is kind of interesting. At one point, and I want to show this coin here, Canada actually had currency was made of gold. For a brief period of time. This is a 1914 $5 gold coin. It has just under a quarter ounce of gold. And yeah, it was just like a beautiful coin. King George V, of course. It's a really beautiful coin. And I picked up 3 of these many, many, many years ago, 10, 12 years ago, something like that. Because what had happened was the Bank of Canada found some bags of these gold coins, $5 and $10 gold coins. Of course, in 1914 is the rarest of the bunch, so I picked up 3 of those versus making an entire set. And I got them at a really good deal, tax-free. I think these were about $500 a coin. And today they're worth much more than that. Numismatic value is even higher. A coin like this is at least $1,000 to $1,500, let's call it, maybe more or less. I guess, I don't know, maybe $1,000 to $1,200, I'll say comfortably. But yeah, anyway, just the gold content alone, a coin like this probably sells for $750, $800 range. So and it's just like the coat of arms It was made of copper, 10% copper, 90% gold, roughly. Um, yeah, but it stopped that in 1914. Of course, the war happened, and then after that, you had the Depression. World War II comes along. A lot of European countries, especially Britain and some other country. I think Holland and stuff like that. They sent their gold to Canada for safekeeping, and Canada. At that time, at the end of the Second World War, I guess Canada officially had about 1,000 tons of gold. So similar to the U.S., the Canadian economy was manufacturing ships and munitions and tanks and all sorts of stuff for the war effort. And I imagine we made some money off that. Um, but anyway, moving forward, why did Canada get rid of its gold reserves? So starting in about the mid '60s, I guess. The Canadian government and central bank or whatever, they started to sell off their reserves. And I'm just reading here by 1985, about half of the 1,000 tons was sold off. And then it says almost the rest were sold through the 1990s up to 2002. So you kind of similar thing in the UK. You had sort of Brown's bottom where the UK sold a bunch of its gold off. And so Canada kind of followed suit. After all, why hold gold when you can, invest your FX reserves in sovereign bonds? And a year ago, Kitco News did an interview with the former Bank of Canada Governor David Dodge. And he was asked that question, and his answer was basically straightforward. And I want to quote from the article here. The issue is quite clear, he says, that it costs to hold gold. It does. You need vaulting, you need, accounting and security and stuff like that. Whereas holding US or Chinese or Euro bonds yields you a return. So that's basically the rationale behind selling it all off. And yeah, that was the prevailing view at that time. I mean, and at that time in the early 2000s, 2002, you could still get, a savings account was giving you, about 4%, sovereign bonds were probably yielding about, that or maybe 5 or something like that. So you can kind of see it. And there wasn't the debt concerns that there are today. I mean, you got to remember back to the 90s, like the mid to late 90s, early 2000s was like sort of a boom time, the tech, the market the tech wreck happened in March of 2000. And I don't think the economy went into the recession until after 9/11 at some point. So yeah, it was, it was a fairly good time, especially the late '90s. Where the tech bubble was being fueled. But it was a really great time. I mean, I remember back at those times. Canada had sort of gotten its fiscal house in order. I think Paul Martin was our governor or finance minister. Canada had just gone through a really difficult debt crisis and government spending. I remember like in the early to mid '90s, that was all the news, like the deficit, the deficit. In the U.S., the Clinton administration, they managed to kind of balance the books and created a surplus. Times were good, right? That's just kind of how it was back then. There was no major wars and stuff like that, like you've seen in the 20 years since that decade. So, you can kind of understand why, gold might have been viewed as a relic. Inflation had been tamed. There was growing, the cost of production was getting cheaper. China entered the World Trade Organization in 99, 2000, somewhere around there. So, there was just, global expansion, global trade. Um, anyway, so that's kind of one of the reasons or the main reason, I guess, why they made that determination to get rid of their gold. Of course, they sold at the absolute bottom. At that time, gold was about 250 US an ounce. Um, and so here we are today. I recently read former Bank of Canada Governor Stephen Poloz, his book. Actually, I read it about a year and a half ago, something like that. And I was quite interested to see if he would A, mention gold, or B, just kind of like trash talk it and stuff like that. And to my surprise, um, and in interviews since, I think on Kitco or whatever, he had done an interview not that long ago. Um, he had actually said that gold's worth holding on to. Not not he wasn't speaking in the capacity of as like a central banker. Although I do kind of would be curious. He was careful to kind of walk that line, right? Talking about individual investors or whatever. Like, sure, there's nothing wrong with holding a portion of your wealth in gold to kind of preserve your purchasing power, and it protects you from inflation and that type of thing. So I was actually kind of surprised. A lot of these guys, they get in there as a central banker in an official capacity, and there's maybe some things that they can't say or they don't want to say because it's basically unproductive. But once they kind of get out, they kind of tell you, it's important to save and to invest and to pay off debt and to, diversify your assets. And for Mr. Poloz, at least that means owning a portion of them in gold. Um, so I want to just step over to one other sort of thing. And Canada actually has a world-class mint, the Royal Canadian Mint, that produces not only the circulation coinage, but it produces some like top tier collectible gold pieces. This is probably my favorite gold coin. Um, it's from 1997, and it's Haida. Um, it's like a Haida mask, and it's called the Raven bringing light to the world or something like that. And it's just a very beautiful coin. I just love the front, and on the back we have QE2 1997. And from the first time I've seen this coin, I remember back in the day I used to get magazines from Canada Post, and it was about and you'd see these coins from the Royal Canadian Mint, and I really, really, really wanted this coin. And it was, I think, $259 or something like that at the time, or 249.39, something like that. It's a half ounce of gold, maybe a bit better, zero point 0.6 of an ounce, or of a troy ounce. But anyway, $200 gold piece, very beautiful, very iconic. I believe about 30,000, just about, were minted, and these are really tough to find. It's not hard to see why. They're very beautiful. People who get these probably don't want to sell them. This is something that you'd be proud to own, happy to look at, that type of thing, and it's appreciated like crazy. Um, I bought this in the mid 2000s, and I think I paid about $700 for it, or $800. I can't really remember exactly, but I paid a pretty penny at the time for this coin, but I just really wanted it. It was just so iconic, and they were tough to find. And you know, that's all I'll say about that, I guess. But now today, with a half ounce of gold sitting at about, I think we're looking at in Canadian dollars, but a little over $1,500 Canadian. This coin here, it's probably worth 1,700 or something like that. And then you add a little bit of numismatic premium to that. I mean, you could be pushing 2,000 or more. So anyway, so that brings me to the Royal Canadian Mint. The Royal Canadian Mint, just in terms of their feedstock, I'm sure they probably have, I'm not exactly sure how much tonnage of gold they have, but I imagine they have several tons of gold at any given time, just to manufacture things like, these 1 ounce Canadian maples, the bullion coins, the quarter ounce. I got a half ounce somewhere, some collector coins and that type of thing. So officially, and Royal Canadian Mint is a crown corporation, so the government kind of owns it. But the government of Canada does not really own a ton of gold, other than maybe through the Royal Canadian Mint. I think if owning gold becomes that important of an issue, and countries are moving towards backing their currencies to some degree with gold, I'm sure Canada will likely follow suit. And probably in the back of their minds, Canada is a country that's well endowed with an abundance of natural resources and commodities and stuff. Um, we have gold and silver, rare earth metals. We have oil and gas, uranium, timber, wheat. We have tons of these resources. So I'm sure, sort of in the back of their mind in Ottawa, they're probably thinking, push comes to shove, we could potentially link our currency to either gold or a basket of commodities, um, if need be. And maybe they could pull like what China does, mandate that all gold mined in Canada um, must go to the Canadian government or something like that first, or whatever. They get first dibs or whatever. They can do a whole bunch of stuff. They could say a portion of the gold mined, instead of the tariff needs to be paid in gold at an increased amount or something like that. There's probably all sorts of things like that can be done. So while Canada does not officially own gold as part of its like FX reserves and stuff, I do think that if need be, right now it's odd. They're playing along with the Western financial system, which is paper assets, paper that's not backed by anything, and they're just kind of in lockstep with the Federal Reserve, right? And yeah, that's the system as it is today, and I don't see them preparing, at least openly, at least in public, and certainly no comments have been made to the effect that they are quietly um, building up a position in gold. So my guess is that we will probably be the last to reincorporate gold into our monetary system here in Canada. And I'm guessing it probably would only happen after the U.S. does it, or some major Anglo countries, Anglo American, Anglo British, that kind of, they do it. So if you see Britain doing a lot more, possibly New Zealand. I know Australia has some. The U.S., Western Europe seems to be preparing for something, and but anyway, that's kind of where we're at here in Canada, and luckily, we can still buy gold, and it's at or near its all-time high in Canadian dollars, and with like against the backdrop of an enormous pile of household debt. I'm talking like record household debt levels in Canada. Record mortgage, real estate. We have a huge real estate problem here in Canada. It's a huge bubble. Record amount of debt, both consumer debt, mortgage debt, you name it. Things can go really badly, really quickly here. It's worth holding some gold, I think, and yeah, and just kind of one of those things. You just buy it and tuck it away, and if you have a collection of other assets, if you own real estate and stocks and cash and bank and bonds and stuff like that, it's worth having a core position of precious metals, gold, pure gold coins, these things. Just as a hedge, just as insurance. If your pension plan goes bust, and you spend a lifetime picking up 1 or 2 ounces of gold each year, then you're probably going to be able to you know, to at least not starve in retirement. At least all is not lost, is what I'm trying to say. So anyways, that's my video for today. It'll probably be the last one. We get the holidays coming, Christmas and New Year's. I want to wish you guys all a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Keep on stacking, keep on building wealth. I know times are tough out there. I know it's very hard. We got to hustle more. Um, but it's when times are hard, that you can get some of the best deals. And if gold falls, I am in the market to pick up a bit more gold. My last piece was that gold 10 ruble coin, and I just haven't found anything else that I'm really kind of interested in right now. Gold and silver are at the highs for the year, basically, so I could for sure see a pullback happen. If not, I'm good to go. I'll just kind of sit back and wait. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Trying to keep everything on the level and build passive income. I'm buying some of these beat up, utility stocks, pipelines, telcos, stuff that have just been slaughtered. You're getting a 7 to 8% yield on those. I think that's pretty good. If rates go back down to near zero, or 2%, or just if rates just go lower and there's some sort of relief, you're going to see a pop in all these oversold stocks. So yeah, and the thing is nobody's interested in these stocks. It's all, they're buying Nvidia and Microsoft and stuff like that. So I'm content to pick up some good quality dividend stocks and just let it ride, collect those dividends. I still have a lot of cash on the sidelines, so I don't really know how things are gonna play out. And like I said at the beginning, things are quite uncertain, and a lot of analysts have said the same. So it pays to be diversified and to just slowly, if you're gonna plan on buying anything like gold, silver, stocks, whatever, just take it slow and easy. You don't have to buy everything all at once. There's going to be plenty of opportunities. This market is all over the place. So, the volatility can be your friend if you're trying to, buy low, sell high, or just, build long-term positions. So that's it for today, guys. That's it for this year. I imagine unless I make like an impulse buy of some sort, I don't think I'll be putting out another video, but check out my website, My Road to Wealth and Freedom. I will be updating that with some thoughts on finances and investing and that type of thing. And of course, passive income and building net worth, all that good stuff. Take care.